Good morning. I like the invisible knot. I don't like the tails. The invisible knot isn't really that invisible. I mean, you can see knots if you get up and you can feel them. But for me it's a lot faster because I guess these are my bobbins, but I don't have all these little bobbins hanging off. And you can kind of see, I think maybe, that I'm not wasting a whole lot of yarn. But I do back them with flannel when I'm done, which then you always know which is the right side. You can't see the knots. You can't really feel them once you have the backing on. So the downside of the invisible knot is it's not totally invisible, and you should probably back it because otherwise you can feel the knots and they might get caught up on something. But here's why I like it over. I mean, those are the cons of using the invisible knots. To me, it's faster because you're cutting and joining. Loose joining for me just took forever. With you, if it's fast and that's what you want to do and you're happy with it, I say go for it. To me, the cons of the preferred way, which is bobbins and loose joining, which then means tails, excuse me, means that there is the loose. So what if while you're crocheting it comes out, which has happened to me. I started making the tails longer so that if the loose join got out, that I could go back and tighten it up. But then if you go more than, say, 10 rows and you don't stop and weave those tails in, oh my gosh, for me, it made my brain like popcorn because then I had to weave them all in. And weaving them in for me, evidently I didn't do it right, or I don't know how to do it right. And at this point, I don't really care to learn to do it right, because the first washing that I did of my first Grafgan, that I did loose join, weaving, bobbins, the first wash, I had to do repairs. I had to do quite a few repairs before I put the back on. Now, I always did put the backing on regardless before I discovered the invisible knot, which isn't really that invisible. Plus, every time I would turn it when it got longer, turn my work, I had a mess to untangle. I didn't like how the yarn looked carried either, because unless it was close to the same color, you could see it. So when people start saying the invisible knot is you waste more yarn, I'm going to say, no, you don't. When people who say they don't like the feel of the knot, okay, I get that. When people say that the knot will come undone, I'm going to argue with them, because if you do the knot correctly, it's not coming undone. So I use these little shoe boxes and I put holes in them, and that's where I put my yarn. I'm toward the end of it now. So, whoops. I'm at the end of it now, so I don't have as many boxes. But like the pattern called for green, and I did jelly bean, so that's why I make my little tags on my little boxes, and it doesn't get all tangled up. Again, you can like the knots, you can hate the knots. These are just suggestions, but I am not going to disrespect anyone ever who wants to do it a different way, and if it's easier for them. So good morning, And good afternoon and good evening, but I just wanted to put that out there.